Hello and welcome to your Pilates Basics class number 1 from the sequence. So we're gonna focus again on the basics, but really start to hopefully understand how do the basics, how does foundation work while we are moving. So we're going to start by taking those 3 little steps to find your standing pose, your Pilates stance, slightly bending your knees, tucking your pelvis underneath and closing your ribs in and down towards your hip bones. From here, roll the shoulders behind, just that we make sure that the arms are nice and long by the side of the body. And we start to rock now front and back, keeping the core engaged the whole time as we do this. Trying to find your balance, of course, here. So just come as high as you feel comfortable onto the toes and then rocking back towards the heels, maybe lifting the toes even off the ground. And trying to now really find the control in your body. Don't worry, if it's not quite yet there, it can be just a little movement back and forth. Okay, then we're going to land in the middle, really grounding both of your feet down, finding our breath. So take a breath in, reach your arms up, exhale, lowering down. Breathing in, reach your arms up, exhale out through the mouth, slowly lower. Make sure that your ribs stay stuck in the whole time, so we are not letting the ribs flare out. As we breathe in, we're tucking them in, breathing in and out. So just finding your breath first, so that when we start to move, we're not forgetting the breath. Roll the shoulders behind. And now we're going to start to activate the core. So balancing, I love balancing poses, especially in the warm-up, because that will really start to activate your core, because we cannot balance without keeping the core tight. So the same principles here again. It's easy, quite easy here to keep the pelvis underneath, but really focusing on the ribs this time. Tucking them in, lifting one knee up, and now the opposite hand comes on top of your knee or on top of your thigh, and start to press your knee down, but don't let your knee move anyway. Just pressing the knee down and pushing your knee back up to your hand. Releasing slowly down, another side, lifting your knee up, placing your hand on top of your thigh and pushing your leg down. Slowly releasing, foot comes down, other side. We breathe in, exhale, push the knee down, inhale low, exhale release, inhale other side, lift up, exhale, push the knee down, inhale reach up, exhale slowly release, and keep going like this. Find your own tempo. So slow, controlled movement. It can be even slower, but the main thing here is to find the control in your body. And don't worry if it's wobbly, that's all right. Just trying to see what happens in your core when you push the knee down. That is your core activation. If you feel some sort of sensation there, that is your core activation, what I'm also telling you to find throughout the whole class. Again, so this is another way I love to teach about the core activation. Nice, we're going to finish last couple of times. And then slowly releasing. So what you can also imagine to find the activation is that somebody is going to punch you in your abdominals. So what we naturally do, we tension the abdominals. So that, of course, is also core activation, with the focus that we want to keep the torso nice and connected, so that we are finding the core activation and starting to create a corset around the whole spine, the whole torso, that keeps us together and that helps us with the activation. So come to the end of your mat. So the mat is in front of you. Feet underneath the hips, roll your shoulders behind, tuck your ribs in. And now starting from your head, tucking your chin in, we slowly start to roll down. Now imagine that you're rolling over an obstacle. So you're really rounding your back. I don't come too close to my thighs. I keep my hands hanging in a distance from my body, coming down wherever you can. Now don't worry about your flexibility. You will notice at the end of the class we're coming back to the same stretch, and you will hopefully notice that you have started to create a little bit more flexibility, mobility into the back of the legs. So don't worry right now if you feel flexible here or not. That doesn't really matter. We're warming just the back of the legs. And rolling, keep rolling up and down a couple of times. Again, nice and slowly. Take your time here. Absolutely no rush. Rolling down, maybe taking a couple of breaths in here. And keep leaning to the front, so towards your toes. And then slowly starting to roll back up again. And now as I'm rolling myself back up, what I'm doing is that I'm activating my low abdominals. That means that I'm pulling my belly button in, and from the lower abdominals, imagining that I'm pulling, stacking my spine on top of each other so that the shoulders are coming last, head coming last, on top of the whole package here. And again, so rolling down, shift your weight more towards the toes than the heels. Maybe taking a couple of breaths, and now you can keep your knees also bent here. Just a little slight knee bend in the knees. And now starting from the lower abdominals to roll yourself back up. Lifting your chest, lifting your head up. Good. Next one, when you come down, bend your knees so that you can take your hands onto the mat, and then walking your hands into a plank. So we extend the legs. Now if this is too much for you, come down onto your knees. We're going to hold the plank either on the knees or, if you want, on the toes. But trying to make sure, now it's very good if you have a mirror somewhere, or if you can maybe afterwards film yourself to check that your hips are not too low. Here what happens is that we lose the core activation, and they are not too high, because here also I cannot feel anything other than my arms and my shoulders. So the hips should be about at the same height as your shoulders. Now strongly keep pushing the ground away, and we breathe here 3 times, nice and deeply. Breathing in through the nose, out through the mouth. Breathing in, breathing out, squeezing your glutes slightly. And after the last breath, lift your hips up first, so push your chest towards your knees. And start to walk your hands one after another back to your feet. Bend your knees, let go of the ground, and slowly starting to roll back up, rolling the shoulders behind, and we go again, rolling back down. Bend your knees, take your hands under the ground, and start to walk all the way to the front, finding your plank. So hands are underneath the shoulders, hips are in line with your shoulders, so not too low, not too high. This should be hard for the core. So if you start to shake, if you start to feel the sensation in your core, the same what I taught you with the punching or with the knee lifts, then it's perfect. And we breathe. 3, if you need to, lower down onto the knees. 2, 1, and then lifting the hips back up, walk your hands back to your feet, bend your knees, and rolling back up. Nice. We're going to do a couple more times like this. This time I'm not keeping you too long in the plank, but as you walk to the plank, try not to move your hips. So you need to use your core strength also here to keep your hips, your pelvis in the middle, so we're not wobbling from side to side. And 3, 2, 1. Keep pushing the ground away. Lift your hips up first, and now without moving your hips, 3 steps towards the feet. bend the knees and rolling back up. So it's much harder to stay in the middle, to really keep the hips nice and steady. And that is the goal here. So that's how we activate the core already on the way into the plank. In the plank, we gently pull the belly button in and breathe. If you feel too much in your lower back, always come onto your knees. And one more breath. Good. We're coming now all the way down into child's pose from yoga. So we open the knees wide, toes together, and lower your upper body down. Just breathing here. We're always coming back to child's pose or another pose. Just take a couple of breaths in between the exercises to come back to the breath, to calm down and take a little rest. Then slowly start to walk your hands to your knees, lift your chest up and circle your wrists. In Pilates, we do put quite a lot of weight onto the hands in many exercises. That's why it's also important to warm up the wrists. And if you got any issues with your wrists, if it doesn't feel good, of course you can always skip an exercise. Maybe put the knees down, as I already mentioned, to reduce the load. And just do a plank, for example, for a little bit of time. So maybe just a couple of seconds to start to practice how to put some weight onto the wrists. So that's what it's all about. We need to train the wrist to be strong so that we can put some weight onto them. So coming into your tabletop position now. Your hands are underneath the shoulders. So make sure that the hands are not too wide. They're directly underneath the shoulders, both of them. Just slightly spreading the fingers so you can really feel the ground. Feeling a strong foundation, because we want to here do the same as we did in plank. So push the ground away so the shoulder blades are widening to the sides, away from each other. Knees are underneath the hips in 90 degrees. Again, make sure that the knees are not too wide. They are underneath the hip bones. The same thing as we did in standing with the 3 steps. This is your the same stance, but on the knees. We're doing a couple of rounds of cat and cows, known again also from yoga. So we are rounding the back of the body, tuck your chin in, and then lifting up through the tailbone, dropping your chest in between your arms. If you feel okay with your neck, then you can gently lift your eye gaze up, but don't go all the way in. We breathe out to round the back of the body. Really now push the ground away, pull your belly in. So we start to feel here again a little core activation, and then reversing the whole movement here. Keep going, couple of rounds like this. Always exhaling when you round and inhaling when you lift head and chest up. Now this movement, what we're doing is the same pelvis tuck that I was teaching you in the first introduction video. So as I mentioned, keep going. We do a lot of tucking the pelvis underneath. So this, what you're doing right now, is basically the same movement as we did in standing, but now just on all fours in your tabletop position. Good. Have a little rest to circle the wrist again. And then finding your tabletop. It is called tabletop because it is a table. Now we are not rounding, or we are not overarching through the lower back. We want to find a neutral spine, pulling your belly button in to straighten the back of your body and to start to feel the core activation. Also, another thing, what I always like to teach is with my mat here, I could put my mat on top of my lower back and keep it there also when I start moving. Let's test. So now your right foot first Reach your toes nice and long behind, extending your leg, lifting the toes off the ground just a little bit, coming back down and pulling your knee back in underneath the hips. Other side, we extend left leg nice and long first. Imagine somebody's pulling you from the toes. From there, lifting the foot up, still pushing the ground away with both of your hands nice and strongly. Touch the toes down and slide your knee in underneath the hips. Okay, I passed the test. I'm going to take my mug away. But just imagine somebody is putting a glass of water on top of your back and it needs to stay there. That means that we have to stabilize through the pelvis. A lot of times what happens is that we start to lean to the side. Let me show you from this angle. That when we lift, I'm lifting my left leg now, lifting up, and I start to lean to the side. So that will be your right leg and leaning to the left side. So this is what we want to avoid. We want to now use again the strength in our core and in the arms to bring ourselves back in the middle and stay here. If I was to lean to the side, the mug would be on the ground. So we keep going with the breath. So we exhale to lift the leg up. As I already mentioned, imagine that somebody's pulling you from your toes. So we are really lengthening. We're not really lifting. I could lift my leg up here, but what happens in my core, what happens in my ribs and in my lower back is that the ribs are flaring and my lower back is arching. So this is not safe for the lower back and it's not a good workout for the core. So that's why we lower down. And now this is again the maximum where I can go. Squeeze your glutes at the top and then bringing the knee back in. We exhale out through the mouth to lift the leg. Inhale to release down. Exhale to lift and lengthen. Inhale to bring the knee back down. And really noticing what happens in your core when you bring the knee back in, when you shift your weight from one knee to the other. Your core needs to work hard all the time. There is no break. Okay, but let's take a break now. In your child's pose, releasing your upper body down. Relaxing if you can, touch your forehead down. Exhaling to release, letting go of the tension. Good, we are rolling up. I would like to give you a second option. If you feel like the first option is enough for you, and that is perfectly fine, I would like to even encourage you to keep doing really the basic movement, which is the first option I just showed you, to really understand your body. And it is already hard, let me tell you, it's already hard with the leg. But I like to still challenge you, if you want to, make sure that the hands are underneath the shoulders, knees are underneath the hips. We push the ground away, we pull the belly button in, we keep the ribs tucked. And also just make sure that your neck stays nice and long. So we're looking down to the ground. There is a long line going from my tailbone all the way up to the crown of the head. So from here, right foot lifts off the ground, and if you want to now add an opposite arm, so left arm reaches all the way long to the front, and then slowly bringing everything back down. Hand comes underneath the shoulder, knee comes to the exact same place underneath the hips. Other side, again we exhale to lengthen and to lift just a little bit. So if it's a little lift, that's perfectly fine. You don't have to go all the way in. Remember, in Pilates we want to focus on small controlled movements. Breathing out to lengthen. Inhale to slowly bring back. Exhale, lifting up, lengthening. Inhale, slowly bringing back down. We're doing both sides one more time, or as mentioned, just keep going with the legs and leave the arm alone, maybe for another time. And then, good. Knees nice and wide, push your hips behind, release and take a breath here. Good, slowly rolling back up. I'm going to give you a rest, so we're not putting any more weight onto the wrists. We're coming now, laying side on, and I'm going to teach you how to activate your core here. Same principles always in every movement, but it's a little bit different now here when laying down. We want to find a long line first of all. So I'm placing my heels, my hips, my shoulder, and my hand, my wrist, everything in the same long line. And now this should feel a little wobbly. That's why I'm placing my hand in front of my chest down to the ground. You can flex your feet. And now comes the most important part. Whenever we start moving here, first of all, we want to keep the whole torso in place. I'm going to show you what we're going to do. So we're going to lift the leg up. What happens normally is that I let go of my core control and I let the lower ribs, the lower part of the torso, touch the ground. If I keep my core activated, here is actually a little gap. Depending on your body, depending on your physics, there may be or may not be a gap between your lower ribs and the mat or the ground. So don't worry about that, but just keep imagining that you want to lift this part of your body off the ground. And then we lower. Okay. The same thing here with the ribs. So tuck them in. We don't want to flare them out. I don't want to arch my lower back. I'm pulling the ribs in, lifting them off the ground, the lower part of the ribs, taking support from the ground, and from here starting to lift the leg without anything else moving other than your leg, your top leg. Exhale to lift up, inhale to lower. You can imagine that you are now between two walls. So there is a wall in front of you and behind you, and we want to stay there. So try to avoid leaning too much to the back, keeping yourself and your hips facing to the front. So when I start to lean too much behind, I'm opening my hips up to the sky. I want to turn the hips to the front, pull the ribs in, lift the lower part of the ribs up, and keep moving from here. We exhale to lift the heel up, inhale to lower. And soon enough you will start to feel burn on the side of your thigh, and especially on the side of your glute. So that's your glute medium working hard. Breathing out to lift the leg, inhale to release down. And now when I say lift, again, I don't mean all the way up. Nice crack in my hip, because as you noticed, maybe when I lift my leg too high, I cannot help but let go of the core control. So it's not about how high can I lift my leg, it's about the core control. Turning your hips to the front and then moving from here with precision, with control, and with breath. I like to turn the toes a little bit down to get that extra burn for the glute, for the side of the glute. So this is now your first option. Your second option here would be the same thing, but hand on your waist. Exhaling to lift up, inhaling to lower, and nothing is happening in my core other than it starts to burn and it starts to shake, which is a good thing. If you feel like you're rolling now over to the back, then keep your hand in front of you. That's perfectly fine. Again, the second option is already quite advanced actually, if you do it correctly with full control. So don't worry. Okay, we have been long enough here. Let's take a little break. So just try a couple of times here. Relax your upper body, relax your legs, relax everything down, and then finding the core control, lifting the ribs off the ground, or imagining that you're doing so, pulling the ribs in, and then we have a second round, but this time we are lifting the heel again just a little bit up and start to make some small circles. So now you may want to take support from the ground and start to make some small circles, leading with your heel. Again, the goal here is that nothing else is moving other than your leg, and it really is burning. That's why we want to breathe. Breathing in, breathing out. Just a small circle is enough, but try to make a full circle. So all the way to the back, front, and then change the direction. Whoo, keep lifting the ribs up. And 3, 2, 1, slowly release. Nice. That was a little bit of glute work, but with full focus on the core as always. Other side. Let's find the same long line. So just play a little bit with your feet first. Take them to the front. So you notice, you can see them. They're not in line. You want to bring them behind so that you actually cannot even see them. Stuck in the hips. Turning the hips facing to the front. And then making sure that your shoulder and your hand is also everything in the same long line, and we keep the head resting on the ground. So I could be also here, but the neck position, the alignment is not very good here, so that's why I'm letting my head also rest, and it's nice to just rest my head down actually. Now before we start moving, pull your ribs in again, lift the lower part of the ribs off the ground, take support in front of you, maybe a couple of times, let go, and activating, lifting the ribs off the ground, pulling the ribs in, exhaling to release, relax, and then again finding the core control. All right, when you're sure that you have a good engagement in your core, only then we start moving. Exhale to lift again the top leg up, inhale to lower down, exhale up, inhale down. As mentioned, if it's wobbly, if you feel like you're losing your balance, then it's good. You know that you are actually working the deep muscles in your core to stabilize those. We need to stabilize the pelvis, stabilizing through the core, and moving with control again. If you want, turn the toes a little bit down. And imagine that you are lifting now from your thigh, so from the side of your thigh, to really get that burn there. And we breathe, exhale up, inhale down. Keeping the core nice and still. If you want to check, take your hand on your waist and maybe reduce the range of motion, maybe just a little lift and low. Little lift, exhale up, inhale down. Keep pulling the ribs in. Nice. I'm going to finish here. Remember, you can always take a break before I tell you to do so, and then you can just relax for a while before we have our circles. Taking a breath in, exhale, finding the core control, lift the ribs up, tucking the ribs in, and then take support from the ground in front of you. Just a little lift and start to make some circles. Drawing with your heel. The only thing that is moving is your top leg. Full but small circles. and we breathe. Still letting the breath flow. Change the direction. I know it is burning. Last one, and then we slowly release down. Good. I hope you had a nice burn. If it was too much, don't worry. Pilates is hard, and especially if you're just starting with Pilates, there are many muscles in your body that we are just starting to wake them up. So it takes time. Stay consistent, and be always gentle with yourself. We are also here to have just fun, just to enjoy movement, moving our bodies, so it doesn't have to be that serious. So come to sit on top of your mat, to the front part of the mat. So we're going to roll down. The mat is behind you. Feet can be on the ground. What is often taught here in Pilates classes is that the legs are extended. Now, depending on your flexibility, a lot of times we come first into a stretch with a rounded back. So this is the same rounded back as we did with the rolls up and down in the beginning when we went into plank. So now the same rounded back here. We reach towards the toes, and now depending on your flexibility, you may come all the way towards your toes, or you touch your toes, you may not. That doesn't really matter here, but just reaching to the front and then lifting your chest up to find a nice straight spine first, and then we start the work. I don't have that much space here, so I'm moving myself a little bit to the front. So this is called the C curve. I'm going to now show you next. We are talking a lot about the C curve. So it's the same again, rounded spine. And we need it here especially because we're going to roll down through the spine, one vertebrae at a time, trying to resist the movement if you can, all the way down, resting your head down, reaching your arms above your head. And then if you need, take a couple of breaths here just to relax. Before we go, gently tuck your ribs in, and we roll back up again. If this is the first time you're doing this movement, you may want to, normally you're not allowed to, but you may want to use your arms to swing yourself up a little bit, or another version is to take the feet down onto the ground. You can also roll down, keeping your feet flat on the ground if you feel like this is better for you. And then from here, it's a little bit easier for me to roll myself back up. You can also ask your friend to hold onto your feet. But we are again practicing control here. So coming back into the C curve here, round in the back, taking a little stretch. First lifting your chest up, and from here again rounding the back. Now you can tuck your chin in, and then starting to roll through the spine. So first the lower part of the back, the lower back is touching the ground, then the middle of the back, and then my shoulder blades, shoulders, head and arms. Slowly rolling yourself back up, and then reaching all the way to the front with a rounded back, lifting up, slowly starting to roll down. Now you cannot really escape this exercise. This is done a lot in many Pilates classes. This is also what Joseph Pilates was teaching. And it's a great exercise to really start to notice when your spine is rounded, when your spine is up, what is actually happening in your spine, and can you come into the C curve so much that you can really start to feel each vertebrae touching the ground one after another. Okay, if you have done a couple of these already, you may want to take a rest, or keep going with me. You decide. I'm really trying to put the brakes on, especially on the way down. A lot of times we think that we cannot do something, but when we trust ourselves, when we tell ourselves that we can, even if it's just a half a second longer, half a second slower, that's amazing. I'm going one more time all the way down, and then we can stay there, laying down on the back of the body. Now I'm thinking that I cannot do this anymore, but I'm telling myself it's okay, I can do this. Rolling down, and then release. Good. Take a rest here. You can bring your feet down to the ground so that we can reset the lower back, reduce the load from the lower back, and just breathing here. Breathing in, breathing out. And good. We're coming now into our crunches. So finding first the neutral spine here. So we don't want to imprint all the way, that there is no gap between the lower back and the mat. We want to keep the spine neutral. So I'm lifting my lower back just a little bit off the mat, but not too much, to find the neutral spine here. The same that we always do in standing. Tucking the pelvis underneath, closing the ribs down, pulling the elbows a little closer together, resting my head on top of my hands. And from here, start to lift your chest up, keeping your eye gaze up or in between your knees. Lowering down. Make sure that nothing is happening in your ribs. In here, the ribs stay tucked in the whole time when I'm coming up, but especially when I'm lowering down, lower backs, this whole spine stays exactly in the same position the whole time. Exhale, strongly out through the mouth to lift up. Inhale to slowly release. And we have a couple of these. Remember, if you're doing maybe just 3 or 4 repetitions with full control, that is already enough. We want to find the connection to our core rather than just going up and down as many times as I can. I could do a lot of those crunches without the control, but with the control, everything changes. Lifting up, it can be just a little lift, and then release down. Good. Let's take a rest. Again, filling your body with breath and releasing. Nice. I got one last exercise for you. It's called the hundreds, which is also very famous, very popular in Pilates classes because it's one of the original moves. So we are going to now take the knees above your hips. So just make sure you are not pulling your knees too much towards your chest, or they are not too far. They are exactly on top of the hips, knees in 90-degree bend. So shins are parallel to the ground. From here, the very first option would be just to start pumping your arms up and down here. If you have the knees above your hips, you should feel your lower back firing up a little bit. To feel a little bit more, we lift the upper body up, so we crunch. We do this exact same crunch, but without the hands behind the head. This time, arms nice and long, and start to pump the arms quite strongly up and down here. Okay, and now we breathe. Check your lower back. This is the same neutral spine. We gently push the lower back down, so try to avoid arching your lower back. If your lower back is arching, then it's a sign for you to reduce the load always. We don't want to break the lower back here. moving with control again. When your body tells you to stop, it's enough, then it's enough. Remember, we want to take time to practice. The progress will come when we just stay consistent here. Okay, so let's speed it up a little bit. I feel a bit lazy. Keep lifting the shoulders off the ground. And we breathe here. Breathing in for about 5 pumps and breathing out for about 5 pumps too. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm gonna breathe one more time. Breathe in and out. And then lowering down. Nice. Rest your head down. Pull your knees in towards your chest. Circle your knees if that feels okay for the lower back. So massage into your lower back. And then we're done. Hey, well done. Whatever you did, it was good job, because you came onto your mat and you took this time for your body and for the connection. So find your way up if you want, rolling up or just rolling over to the side, rolling yourself up or pushing yourself up. And then I'm thanking you first of all, and then we're going to take a rest and come back a little bit stronger next time when I'm going to show you some more exercises in Pilates and how we can find that core control. Bye bye.